Welcome back to Battalion Wars. You'll notice that we have the second bonus mission unlocked, but unfortunately, we're going to have to put that on hold for now because one of my favorite levels in the game is coming up. And it's a pretty interesting one because it's impossible to S-rank. Yes, I've tried several times to get an S-rank on this entire stage, but I have no idea how you're supposed to do it. I mean, like, you only get, like, 4 units at the beginning of the level, and you'll see. Skipping the cutscene for now because we don't really need to see it. There's nothing interesting about it. I'm sure this will not hurt me in the end. Anyway, our first objective is these gunships here, as the level name may have implied. There are several gunships in this aerodrome here. The more of them you destroy, the less gunships you'll have to deal with later on, because at a certain point they'll all fly off to protect your primary objective. There's a bunch of rifle grunts. They will try to get into the gunships and, you know, get them flying. So you can either take out the rifle grunts with your heavy recon, which you do have, or destroy the gunships with the missile veterans before they take off in the first place. You just gotta be careful though, because there's a bunch of exploding barrels, there's ammo dumps, there's all kinds of bad things that can get in your way. Not to mention, if you destroy a gunship before the rifle grunt gets into it, then you have to deal with the rifle grunt himself, and that is not cool. Of course, they're not going to just let you walk right over them. They have heavy tanks and miniguns approaching. Miniguns are pretty much just assault veterans, except they've been renamed as the rockets, acid gas units, and several other infantry units will be later on. And of course, we're going to, since I couldn't demo it very well earlier, here's how bad the missile veteran is, like, against everything else. All you have to do is circle strafe around the heavy tank and fire missiles at it at a range close enough so that the missile will hit it even though it's not supposed to. Yeah. This can take a little while, and with the addition of the minigun to my left here, there are now several machine guns firing at me from different angles. That can make avoiding getting shot a little difficult. But still, the miniguns can't do much damage unless they, like, pile the hits on. Still, the heavy tank is more important because if you're circle strafing around the minigun, depending on the heavy tank's positioning, it can have an easier shot at you. And now we have to get rid of the infantry here. And I'm almost gonna die. These are more annoying to deal with this way than the heavy tanks because, you know, they're a smaller target, so the missiles don't exactly have an easier time hitting them because, you know, they're supposed to be inaccurate against ground units, but nope. Not if you play it like I play it. Although, considering this level's design, I'm pretty sure that's the only way you can actually beat the stage is to use the missile veteran like this because, you know, your heavy recon's gonna get blown up by the tanks, and there's a rifle grunt here. I probably could have advanced without just taking the time to destroy him, but hey, I should probably go into this next segment with full life anyhow. Now, they only give you the missile veterans and the heavy recon. I have no idea why did they figure out the missile veteran was broken and then designed an entire stage around it? I mean, what kind of level design philosophy is that? Anyway, here comes the Neurosite mine up ahead. There are 3 flags in it, and you have to capture them all in order to finish the level. Again, like, with only 3 infantry, I'm only using 1 infantry here just to make a statement, and the enemy has anti-air vehicles. Why would you ever give the enemy anti-air vehicles if they're not going to give the player any gunships or anything of their own? I mean, this would have been a fabulous level to introduce the gunship to the player if they're going to put enemy anti-air vehicles in it. Anyhow, since our range is so awesome, I'm going to shoot down the last gunship. It really annoys the enemy CO. And as for the MG bunker, you know, same as the heavy tanks, it's you know, this is why the MG bunker is so bad. It has a horrible blind spot, and not only that, its hitbox is so big that the missiles are almost guaranteed to hit it. There are some more anti-air vehicles in the Neurosite mines themselves for some reason. There are also more miniguns and more heavy tanks. This is going to be annoying. But I'm sure we'll pull through. Oh, and I want to mention very quickly here that you might have noticed by now, but the missiles, in addition to having a bit of an explosion radius, they can also cause friendly fire. They're one of the few weapons in the game that can cause friendly fire. Rifles can't, bullets can't, bazookas generally can't, but these missiles and another weapon later on, definitely. So you gotta be careful. Although that basically amounts to not firing at point-blank range. As I stated back in Mission 6, the Missile Veteran is nerfed considerably in the sequel. And so are the Assault Veterans, as a matter of fact. They nerfed all the best strategies. In fact, at this stage we're in Battalion Wars 2, you couldn't, like, finish it at all. I don't think. If there's supposed to be some... You know, if there's supposed to be some way to gain reinforcements in this level, I have no idea where they are. I've never seen any other Frontier units other than the Heavy Recon and the 3 Missile Veterans. Amazing level design. But we managed to complete it, so if this was supposed to be some crazy difficult stage, or some kind of practical joke on Kuju's part, then... you know, I beat the level anyhow. Take that, Kuju. I don't know how you're supposed to get an S rank. I mean, you know, without some decent weapons, like, or decent units rather, it's gonna take way longer than it should to destroy the heavy tanks. Of course, we have rocket units around here too, so... And, you know, I am kind of putting a handicap on myself because I don't have the heavy recon. It's fast enough to avoid tank shots, and it could probably just run over all the infantry. So that's all of the tanks. This rocket's going to get hit in the face right here. Missiles just do so many horrible things. Even if you're playing the sequel where they're nerfed... Oh, that's an example of area of... a radius explosion thing. We need to take the flags now, and it's going to take forever too. I suppose with the other 2 Missile Veterans this wouldn't take nearly as long, but seriously, 3 flags for one area? Why 3 flags? They're not exactly heavily guarded. Oh, of course, they needed 3 flags so that reinforcements could pop in as soon as the first flag is taken. So, is there anything else to mention? Well, there is another MG bunker on the other side of the Neurosite fields for some weird reason. I mean, you come in from way away from where the MG bunker is. We'll be coming up on it in a couple of minutes here, but first, a reinforcing heavy tank. Like, that's even a threat at this point. I mean, in all honesty, the heavy tank should, you know, be at least making a decent effort to run you over, because that is a valid tactic, as you've seen. I guess the AI just doesn't mix well with tanks, which is very strange because, you know, this is a war game. Here's the MG bunker, by the way. It's right next to me, but you can't actually lock onto it unless you can see the infantry inside. And there you have it. Friendly fire. Try not to do that. But it can't shoot at me now, can it? Nope. Oh, what do you know? It gets set on fire too. So that just leaves maybe a couple of other units. And, well, I have to take its capture point first. And here's... well, there's a neat graphic effect. You can see that there's some kind of snake slithering in the sand right there. It went under the flagpole for some reason. Some keen eyes might notice that there is a heavy tank right in front of me, but it doesn't see me. Now that's a weird thing. I think that's actually how you're supposed to S-rank this map. There's some kind of stealth element in this level because the enemies don't, you know, they don't shoot unless they see you or if you shoot at them first. Which is really strange because that's the exact opposite of how your battalion generally behaves. You know, a full-blown stealth level would be interesting, but, you know, if you're supposed to stealth this level, then I have no idea how. Like everything's going to see you. But oh well. I guess we can't have everything that we want in our game. Oh, that was a weird way to jump into the flagpole. Hopefully this minigun doesn't notice I'm there. And it doesn't look like he will. Enemies don't notice their flagpoles being taken down. Alright, so since we're at the end of the level, I guess I should end my farce right now. No, this is not how you play this level, and you're all suckers for sitting through the entire video thinking this is how you're supposed to play the level. April Fools, everybody! Yeah. I'll come up with a better joke next year. But hey, this is a rather roundabout way of completing the level, so let's see what my rank will be anyways, right? And no, I still don't know why the near-sight mines are apparently powered by flagpoles. Hilarious. My rank, of course, is a lowly B. Happy April Fool's Day, everybody. Thank you for suffering through this.